Welcome boys and girls from YouTube. My name is Sloth, this is the SlothForge, and in today's video I wanted to share a very interesting piece of information with you that will probably help many players out there to reach way better damage numbers when it comes to the Continental Challenge. Now, since I did not see a single content creator yet talking about this specific topic, I wanted to share this piece of information with you as soon as possible, just to help as many players out there as somehow possible. Now, what exactly am I talking about? I'm referring to this damage fall-off effect. And before we get a bit deeper into this, or we dive deeper into this, let me show you those two screenshots. Now, I've been casually testing my Vortex team on the Continental Challenge boss, and I realized something very strange. I'm always hitting either numbers at the 215 million mark, plus minus 2 million, or at the 230 or 235 million mark, something in between, but never in between those numbers for some strange reason. I've never hit 225 million, never hit 220 million. And so I wondered why this is the case. And then I took a bit more in-depth look at the boss info, and I realized that there is this damage fall-off effect. And now this damage fall-off effect is not only at Telendor, but at every single Continental Challenge. So the piece of information that I'm going to share with you is useful for every single Continental Challenge for the next 3 weeks, for the whole mid-season of this game of Dragonheir Silent Gods. Now, what exactly am I talking about? Now, there is this damage fall-off effect, and once the boss has taken 200 million damage, it's like a buff where all incoming damage is reduced by 90%. But there is one crucial piece of information that is missing here, and it is about the timing, about when exactly this damage fall-off effect starts to trigger. And now the effect doesn't activate at the instant second when the total damage reaches the 200 million mark. No, it only becomes active from the moment after the hit that pushed the damage past the 200 million mark. Now I know that this may sound a bit strange, it may sound a bit cryptic, so let me explain this to you in this example real quick. And you can use this information for your personal profit for every team that you have that is able to reach the 200 million mark. And if you saved some dice, you probably have at least one exclusive hero, and you will reach the 200 million mark with Nestyanka, with Lelvanes, with Flora, probably also with Lothar, and even Vitar can reach the 200 million mark. And of course Telendor as well, so probably all of those exclusive heroes will reach the 200 million mark. But once you've reached the 200 million mark, it is extremely hard to deal more damage because of this damage fall-off effect. And this is where the piece of information that I just shared with you is so important, because it is all about timing. So let's just assume, to make it a bit easier to understand, let's assume that my Flora is always dealing exactly 20 million damage. Never more, never less. Just to make this example a bit easier to explain. Now, on the left example, on the left screenshot, now Flora activated her ultimate when Telendor was at 185 million damage. So she has dealt 20 million damage. Now the boss is at 205 million damage, and now the damage fall-off effect starts to trigger, and he gets 90% reduced damage. On the right example, on the right screenshot, the timing was way better. On the right example, it is that Flora's ultimate exploded when the boss was at exactly 199 million damage. And now we are at 219 million damage when the damage fall-off effect starts to trigger. And this is crucial, as you probably see now, because those 90%, they probably will not allow you to reach the 220 million mark if this effect starts to trigger at the 205 million mark, like in the left example, because 90% less damage is so much. This is why on the right example, it is just so useful if you trigger your big incoming burst damage as late as possible, but before, or as close as possible to the 200 million mark, but before you reach the 200 million mark. Now, when it comes to wild teams, this is a bit harder. Now, if you have, for example, Lelvanis, it is way easier, because you could, in theory, time her ultimate on your own, and the biggest damage from Lelvanis comes from her ultimate, so you just can slow the run down to 1x speed, and if the boss is at exactly 199 million damage, you then activate her ultimate, so you have the best possible starting point for the damage fall-off effect. Now, and that's it. This is the whole thing that I wanted to share with you. I know that it probably sounds a little bit cryptic, and of course the biggest problem here is that English is not my first language, so it is not that easy for me to explain this to you, but I hope that the example that I gave you helped to understand what I'm trying to explain to you, and I'm very sure that it will help most players out there. So everyone out there who has at least one meta team can make use of the information that I just shared with you. And that's it for today's video. I really hope that it helped you, and if it helped you, so please consider to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any further content. But that's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next one.